Okay, so quickly I'm going to use and create another dialog task where I'll be using a get API call with a parameter. I'm going to pass a parameter while making an API call, and from the response I'm going to pick up values and display it back to the user. Okay, so I create a call right now like this. This thing, a task for checking the account balance. So check balance, I name it as. From more options, you can add a description. Okay, here the first thing, once this task execution starts, the bot is going to ask for the account number and use that account number to make an API call, fetch the relevant details and display it back to the user. Okay, so I'm going to do this quickly because we have a limited time. So I'm going to create an entity called account ID. You can put it anything. Entity name is totally up to you. So let's say account ID. Okay, the type of the entity, I'll keep it as number because in my data store that I have created here, I will use the account ID column is a numeric value you can see over here. Okay, so that is why I've kept it as a number. Now for mock API, if it is an auto-generated field, this is an auto-generated field actually. That is you don't need to pass the value. Whenever a row is added, this value will be auto generated. Okay, so I'll show you both the ways how you can pass a parameter. So please enter the account number, that is for the entity. Now once the user provides this account number, I'm going to make an API call using that account number. So I create a new service node here. Okay, and we come to define request. Okay, it's a get call. This is my API, but I'm going to pass my account ID. Now that is the object column, actually the primary key column. So for mock API, if or in any API, when you want to pass any entity value as a parameter, usually API calls, REST API calls have a q equal to the parameter value. Okay, so if you want to provide entity values over there as a parameter for the API call, within double curly braces, you say context dot entities dot the name of the entity whose value you want to pass. For mock API, why I'm specifically showing you this mock API, because many of you will need to use a mock API service when you are creating your bot for your assignment. If it is a condition on any other column that is defined, the way to do it is put a question mark and then you say filter equal to followed by the value on which you want to filter. Okay, so that is how mock API supports it. You will get it also in the documentation for mock API, but here since this is the column which is auto generated, so you can directly provide the value on which the filtering will take place, and here the value is the account ID which is provided by the user within the entity account ID. Okay, so I pass that as a parameter. You can come to test request over here. You can put in a dummy value, one of the values, and you can click on test. And then you can see the API call has taken place successfully and it has picked up the details. Just take a note of these details. You can see there is something called the status code over here, which has a value of 200, meaning the call was successful. And then within body, we have something called balance, the balance element, which displays the current balance of the account holder. Okay. Now, I save this as a sample response and we click on save. For any service node, if you come to the sample response section and you click on this, you will get to see the sample response that you have saved. Okay. means it's not showing, but clicking here it should show you. And from advanced controls you can configure the timeout for your service call. The maximum timeout allowed on a platform is 20 seconds. That means if the API does not return back a response within 20 seconds, that will be a failure, a task failure will take place. But if you want it less, you can configure that over here. You can select the timeout period over here. So once you have done this, okay, now the next is, I'm assuming that the API call takes place successfully. I'll build the alternate flow, but right now I assume that it is taking place successfully. I'm going to have a message node where I'm going to display the balance. Okay, so create a message node, and so the available balance in your account is, now I want to print that balance was which was returned from as an API response. How do we do that? Open the double curly braces, and now what you do is you say over here context dot, now this time not entities, but that response is a part of the service node. Okay, what was the name of that service node? Fetch balance was the name of the service node. So context dot fetch balance, now that service node has internal response object. So response context dot name of the service node dot response. Now from that response you had body, within that response you have body, and within body you have an element called balance, which holds the current balance of the user. Okay, so that is the way you are going to fetch required information from the API response, because you cannot display that JSON, total JSON output coming back. That may not be understood by the end users. Everybody may not be computer literate to understand that kind of a response, and that totally fails the purpose why we are building a chatbot. We want to make it more familiar with the natural language. Okay, so if displaying a response in a JSON format is not desirable, so there from the API response, you need to pick up the required details and display it back in a natural way. Okay, and the way to do it is within double curly braces, context dot name of the service node dot response. Then from body, if the body returns an array, then remember to put the array element number over here, followed by the element within the body which holds the correct value. Okay, so over here balance. So this is going to display the balance back to the user. So now if I execute this particular flow, okay, so enter an account number, put in any of the account numbers which are there, and you can see the balance comes up over here. If you check it out from the backend, so if you see for account ID 5, the balance is 2000. So that is what is displayed here. Okay. The next thing, there's additional one more thing that you need to do over here. You cannot always assume that your API call is going to work. Now today the user can give an account number for which there are no details in the backend. Okay, so you need to provide that kind of a this thing also over here, validation. How can you do that validation? A very quick way of doing that validation is itself from the service node. I go to the connections property, I add an if over here, and from the context I put like context dot the name of the service node, okay, dot response. Now within the response, remember I told you all there's something called the status code which had 200. Now every API call will have something like this. Either some API call gives you the total number of rows that are returned. So there's something called count or something which will be 0 if there are no rows returned, and it will be a numeric value depending on how many rows are returned. Some of them they give you a status call. So look into the API response find out that element which will tell you whether the call was successful or not, and use that as a connection rules over here. So if the status call is equal to 200, that means my call was valid. It has returned a positive response. It has returned a row. So I display the balance. Else, let's say I'm going to display an error message over here. So I keep it as not connected. And now I come over here and display an error message like invalid account number. Please try again. Okay, so So something like this. If you want to define the flow as after this, it should ask, do you want to enter a new account ID? And that you can do it through a confirmation node. If the user says an yes, then refresh this particular entity. That is, remove the instance of this entity through that particular script. That is delete followed by the name of the entity and connect it back over here, so that the user can enter a new account number. And if the user says no, I don't want to proceed with a new number, then you can just display a message, okay, tell me what else can I do for you. Okay, something like that. So you can define alternate flows like that. Right now I've just given an invalid message over here, and if I go in here once again, if I say check balance. Okay, and here now I provide an account number which is not available, and let the prompt come. In debug logs, it's showing me that it has reached. At times, due to network delay, the prompt comes a little late. So okay, so I put over here something like 20. So it should come back with the error message. That is, it was an incorrect account number, because the the status code that was returned is a non-200 status code. Okay. So this way you can define alternate flows and display whatever is required from the API response. Any questions still here? Okay. So this way you can keep on adding tasks depending on the use cases that has been identified from within your bot.